This is a homestead video on canning jars and lids. The first one we're going to talk about is Mason jars. Mason is not a brand, it's a type of the closure. They've had many different types of closure over the years, but this is the one that they've pretty much settled on. That's how it's got threaded here, and it's a kind of way that it's closed. You have your regular mouth, which is narrow at the top, and your wide mouth. And the regular mouth I use for stuff like canning beans and pears. The beans float, and you don't get as much in the jar if you use it in the wide mouth, but you can put carrots and things like that. The wide mouth is for canning large items like peaches and pickles, and they make both of these anywhere from right down to quarter pint, depending on what you want it for. So the reusable jars, I have some from the 20s that are still in use. You just want to check them before you use them for canning, because they can crack and you'll get a chip off of the top of the rim here, and then it won't seal properly to the plastic seal in the lid. So you want to always be sure of that. Be careful with your jars. Anytime you knock them against something, you risk to fracture them, and it's a hairline crack you don't know is there until you can in them, which isn't very fun. So the other type of jar that we're going to talk about is not as common. It's called a one-trip jar. They're thinner, less quality, but still useful. You don't find them in the stores to purchase. You have to get it from the manufacturer. They seal oftentimes more than once. So you can see this as a one-piece unit, and it's got a rubber seal in there, and you can try to see if it'll seal again. Just always make sure that it seals later on in the day, because it's always risky when you try to reuse, but they will sometimes reseal. So the different kinds of lids for the mason jars, the most common is this kind. It's a one-time use disposable lid. You can purchase them with the ring. It's a two-piece unit. You can purchase them with the rings, but they're more expensive. You just want to take good care of your rings. This one has had some wear, but it's still usable. If they get rusty and stuff like that, you don't want to use them because they will not close as well. But yeah, it's a two-piece unit. This is disposable. This is reusable. And you want to make sure you have the corresponding lid. They make them in regular mouth and wide mouth to the jars you're going to be canning in. The other mason closure is a one-piece unit, and you don't buy these generally in the grocery store either. You're going to have to go to a manufacturer for that. And I actually just use that for canning with fruits and vegetables. And the other option is the reusable Tattler, and you're going to use your metal lids from your other ones with that. This is a plastic lid. They call it a permanent canning lid, but it's, it wears out. But it does use oftentimes more than once. It's got a removable rubber ring, so you can replace the ring, but it's just as expensive to replace the whole unit. So you want to go ahead and can with those a little bit differently, and we'll explore that in a different video. But those are your options for canning, and they're all pretty good options. Tattlers are also very expensive. They're like 3 or 4 times the cost of the reusable or the single use. So you want to kind of weigh that. These are nice for when there's shortages on these, because then at least you're able to make a use of them still. But that is canning jars and